Hey guys, welcome to Coffee in the Chat. This is our extended chat. Um, we've been glad to be back after a couple weeks away. We were celebrating the long weekend.
Yeah. Well, for us, it was Victoria Day. We're in Canada, and happy Memorial Day to those of you in the United States from last weekend.
And so we're back now, and this is going to be kind of a commentary on some things. Something I really need to talk about is, okay, we've heard frequently here in Canada about kids' mental health because they cannot interact with their friends. They can't.
Well, it's because you're. Now, this isn't all across Canada. It's mostly been here. Our school's been closed.
Yes.
Since about April. It's a little different this year because last year the schools were closed a lot longer. They closed about March, which really when everything closed here. Like everything. So this year, with this school year, 2021, most of the schools open from September. Maybe it pick up around Christmas, where it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But it's primarily been open most of the year, except for April, around the Easter break. And then, they even postponed our March break, which is spring break, here and pushed it to April.
Yes.
And there was also talk about whether or not they go back to school after the March break, which they actually did. It was in April, so April break. But then, no, they did. Did they go back? No, they didn't actually. They actually went out at the April break. They haven't been back since. Yeah. So, a little over a month, almost 2 months now. But they've been saying, like you're saying,
that
because they haven't had the interaction with their friends, social interaction at school.
Now,
that they've been depressed and suicidal, and
suffering anxiety,
all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
They've only been out for a little month.
And we're starting to hear this again because last week they finally made an official statement saying that they're not coming back this month. Here in Canada, here in Ontario, the school year ends June 29th. So they're not coming back until the fall, you say. But we've been hearing this again. Kids' mental health, they're suffering, they're depressed.
Yeah, they're not getting social interactions, they're not seeing their friends.
I have to comment BS on this. I have to say BS on this. You go anywhere, walk your neighborhood here.
Just like you said, this is an Ontario thing. I mean, I think schools are back open. I'm not sure if BC or Alberta's are back open.
I'm not sure.
I know they closed, but I think they are opening back up. Quebec, I'm pretty sure, is back in. They're pretty much open. They're further along in opening up than we are.
Yes.
Same with the Maritimes, and I know a lot of places in the States are open too. So even actually further open there. So I mean, this is just us. We're constantly hearing about it here.
And
so.
Sorry, I have to cry foul.
Yeah.
Okay, I will play devil's advocate. I'm sure there are some kids whose parents are taking a much more strict approach to this and keeping the kids home.
Right, not allowing them to see
their friends. But we're seeing groups of 5, 6, 10.
At one point, it's 15 to 20.
15 to 20
Mostly
kids. Teenage kids hanging out together.
Oh yeah, we see them all the time.
So
hanging out together. So how are they not socializing?
How is their mental health suffering if they're with their friends?
Yeah, I mean, it's every day.
It's every day.
All the time. I mean, they're like he works at a school, so I mean, he sees them at the school.
Yes.
Hanging out. Yesterday went for a walk. We saw about 5 or 6 girls hanging out together, eating McDonald's. I mean, you see it all the time.
Of course.
Saw a whole group of other girls walking together, a group of boys bike riding. I mean, and yes, people might say it may be the younger kids, not the teenagers, the younger kids. But you also have teachers at his school that have said they heard throughout the entire year that
Yeah.
they've been having play dates with their
Exactly.
friends, and you still see them at the playgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, maybe with mom and dad, of course, but they're still interacting, and then some kids are still going to daycare because their parents are essential workers, but so daycares are still open for them here. But you know, I mean, yeah, it's like, how are they not interacting? I could see them not getting great education
Yes.
from being at home.
Yes.
It's harder to learn.
This is exactly, and I agree with this. That it's been hard on the kids with the online school system.
Sure.
Excuse me, guys. And there has been hiccups and struggles with it.
Right.
And sure, some kids do learn better in a classroom environment.
Because it is, if you've ever taken a course online or the old correspondence as it used to be, that kind of thing, it's not always that easy to motivate yourself, or maybe something you don't understand. It's hard to ask the teacher, either via video chat or whatever it is, because I don't think it's in real time. From what I understand, it might be somewhat in real time, but it's hard to do that in like via video than in real classroom. But I mean, so I can get that part of it.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm sure their education suffering them. Some will do much better, but yeah, of course that would be difficult.
But
it's the social aspect.
It's the social aspect.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, I can't swallow that. I can't swallow that pill because you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
They carry on.
Anybody who has to see it.
Anyone that's sees this, these kids are carrying on like there's nothing wrong.
Which kids tend to do.
Which so how is their mental health being affected by schools being closed if they're seeing their friends?
Right. Well, that's the argument, is that their mental health is suffering because they're not socializing, that they're not seeing their friends. Well, not from what we've seen. I mean, you see plenty of them hanging. And we're not just talking recently, we're talking even last year.
All through this.
All this. I mean, even back March 2020, you saw a group of kids hanging out together. So, I mean, it's not like it's a brand new thing. This is an ongoing thing from even a year ago.
So,
now, granted, like you said, it may not be all of them. There may be parents who are not allowing their teenagers to go hang out. So, I mean, that's a different thing.
Of course.
It's certainly not all of them.
So I think people need to open their eyes more and actually admit that these kids are actually socializing with their friends.
The parents have to know this. If they don't, then they don't know the teenager very well.
So
they're not just hanging out by themselves. Some might be, but most of them are not.
And this is coming from the same government that told us our schools were safe.
Well, supposedly.
That we were adequately prepared.
That they upgraded the HVAC and they did this. They did not. They did not.
So
they did not.
Don't put out information that's not true.
Well, they do. I mean, we're not talking the federal government. This is the provincial government doing this. So, and our provincial government is conservative here. For those of you who don't know, but a lot of you in Canada know, but that's kind of what they've been saying. Like, even last year, they want the schools to come back after they close them down. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to update the HVAC systems, and then we're going to add more cleaners, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Well, they didn't actually do that. They said, oh, we're going to somehow separate, lower the class sizes so that they can actually adequately separate and distance and all that. They didn't do any of that. So, I mean, we know quite a few people. He works in the school system. We know a lot of people work, and none of their schools they did that with. So
it's because let's call it what it was. There wasn't enough adequate time. And
but there's been a year now.
But to do what they're saying they wanted
It's a
to.
lot of schools
It's a lot of schools, a
across the
lot,
entire province.
a lot of money.
It was sure it's a lot.
You know.
And I mean, that's the thing. Don't promise something you can't deliver. I mean,
Exactly.
you're not even just talking about 2 school boards. I mean, alone Toronto, which is not our school board, but the Toronto School Board has 600 schools
Mhm.
or more just in the city. It's one city. It's not
Yeah.
the entire province. Just the one city has 600 schools, and a lot of them are very old.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think there's been a lot of new construction of schools in Toronto. So I mean, a lot of them are older schools. So
Mhm.
and of course can you imagine just that alone would cost millions,
Oh.
and then you've got another few hundred in the Peel region, and then branching out into all
Yes.
of Ontario. I mean, so and they promise that all of these schools
Mhm.
just in Ontario, oh yeah, we're going to upgrade this, we're going to upgrade that. Well, you're talking thousands of schools now, and
Exactly.
you really got the budget for that? I don't think so.
No.
You know, I mean, you're always talking about, oh, we're in debt. We don't have the budget for this. We don't have the budget for that. Well, where the frick are you going to find that kind of money to
To do
upgrade
this
the
stuff.
HVAC for thousands
Mhm.
of schools just in one province?
And to do it in a
In a very short time frame
when,
was never going to happen.
No.
Never going to happen.
Mm.
So why say it?
you know,
Nobody believes, well, some might believe it, but I think those who really know that politicians
Yeah.
just talk out of both sides of their mouth. No, you're not being honest here.
no.
It's not possible.
And, I think
Not much short of a time frame.
we really have to, people really have to be much more honest with the fact that
Yeah.
a lot of these kids are doing fine. There are,
A lot of
lot of them are.
I'm sure there are ones
Who are struggling.
Sure
Yes.
there are. Just like there's a lot of adults who are.
Yes.
I mean, like the service industry, a lot of
Mhm.
them are still sitting at home. It's been shut. They haven't been
Exactly.
able to work, like servers and bartenders. Yes, some of them have been able to come back a little
not
bit.
everybody,
Because they've been doing like delivery and pickup and stuff. But I mean,
Yeah.
they don't need a full sort of staff for that.
No.
And then when you got like just last summer, they were
Yeah.
allowed open at best in
Mhm.
a year and a half. So they've been really struggling, and maybe some of them moved on by now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame them. Same with the beauty and the hair. I mean, they've also suffered. They were really only allowed open in July, maybe August,
And they've been
and
shut.
then they were shut down. I mean, I think they might have been shut down. I don't think they were open that long, but they
No.
were shut down again. I mean, so again, the better part of a year,
Yeah.
they haven't really had any work. I mean, they may have moved on to other things or whatnot. So I mean, yeah, I can see why they've suffered too.
Yes.
And like you said, it may not be all kids that are being allowed to socialize. I'm sure there are
Yes.
some parents that
Yeah.
are like, no, they're not going to let their kids do that. And I don't blame you. It's your decision trying to keep your family safe.
Of course.
And they might be suffering. But it's just you see so many of them out there.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's not just here. I'm sure it's all over.
Of course. Yeah.
So
and-
it's hard to believe that, we should open schools because they're all suffering so badly. Yeah, maybe their education, I think, is really more of the issue for them. So because they're socializing, we
and,
see it.
and this is what I think we actually need to be more honest about. Let's tell the truth on this. The educational system this year has taken such a hit to try and keep these kids educated and motivated.
Well, even like they did such a different, almost a weird way of doing it between the public schools or the elementary schools and the high schools. The elementary students were in full day, every day.
Yes.
They're supposed to only play with like their own specific classrooms, all that kind of stuff. Whether they did outside the class, it's another story. But at least in school, they tried to control that as much as they could. The high schoolers, on the other hand, were only there about 2 hours a day, roughly.
And
then the rest was supposed to be online. But you still saw them. I mean, when they're supposed to be in school, they're out hanging out, riding their bikes at the park, hanging out at the public schools. Or the elementary schools, all that kind of stuff, I mean, so I don't know. I can see why a lot of high schools might be worried about their education. I don't know.
And don't think that we're like disparaging all teenagers. And we do know a few of them that are, they have done well.
Well, it's not even about really disparaging teenagers, or it's not even about that. I think it's the idea that they're saying that they're all suffering.
Yeah.
Socially, not even academic things. That's a whole other conversation. But socially, because they're not interacting with each other when you obviously see that they are.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, yeah, they're kids. Of course, people want to socialize. It's human nature and all that kind of stuff. That's really not the issue. The issue really is.
Let's be honest.
They're socializing.
Exactly.
So, I mean, why say that they're not when they are?
And I think, okay, enough's enough. Like, be honest.
Right.
They're out.
Right. Yeah.
They're out there. They're hanging out. They're talking. Yeah. They're playing. Whatever.
Right. They're hanging out. They're interacting.
So stop it.
So that's what really gets you angry, or makes you kind of distrust. And that's just one of the things, but distrust, say, politicians, or even as a home specialist, like a teacher's parent union, whatever, like trying to get schools open again, kind of thing. But why not just be honest about rather it not being necessarily a social interaction thing, but you're worried about their academics? I mean, that would make more sense, you know?
And I would.
But to say it's because they're suffering socially is, granted, like we said, yes, it could be some, but there's so many that you see. And I mean, even if you look on Facebook, it's people talking about parents all over the place talking about it. I see tons of teenagers hanging out together.
Exactly.
I mean, so I don't know about that. I just don't see them suffering socially when you see them hanging out together. So and plus, like they were saying, how schools are so safe. Well, when they went back in, if any of you guys watched it in Ontario, I'm not sure if any of the other provinces do it, but they track cases here, and the school boards did.
Yes, we did.
Right across Ontario, they track school, like across all school boards.
Yeah.
The Catholic and I don't know if the private schools did that, because it wasn't part of the Ontario. I never saw it in the private schools, but you could track how many cases the schools had, and it's actually quite a few. Like they were saying, schools were actually, even though they were telling the public that, it's so safe, they're not a big driver, and of course that was Stephen Lecce, who's the education minister here, kept saying schools are safe, they're not a big driver of this, but the numbers told a different story.
Yeah.
There was actually quite a few cases in schools, and actually at one point there was tons of shut down. They had like 18, 20 plus cases that they knew of. Now, granted, like a lot of kids tend to be asymptomatic. It doesn't seem to be hitting them as hard as anybody who's older, but there have been kids who have had serious cases and have actually died from it, but they're more of a carrier, so it's not even necessarily if they themselves, even though it's a concern, if they got sick, but they could spread it.
Of course.
And it's funny, I remember way back a year ago, saying, well, kids aren't spreaders. Well, how could they not be? They breathe. Of course they could spread it. They could spread anything else. The cold, why can they spread? It's not like it's a magical barrier that they can't spread it. And that was always something that was a stupid argument to begin with. But that was kind of what they used to say, we need to keep, they're not significantly not really at risk, and they're not a significant spreader. Okay, sure they're not, but that's one of the reasons that they pushed for the schools to open, and now they're trying to push for them to reopen because of social isolation or whatever they're saying. I mean, that doesn't make any sense when you interact with each other. So,
well, that's it.
And
then,
but the cases were high in schools.
They were high. And to also hear from our premier that it was the teachers' unions.
Right. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's what's threatening.
With
the court conjunction. He said it again too. That's not the case. That's not even true.
And speaking with some teachers that I know,
never heard anything like that.
No, and their concern is we want to be fully vaccinated. You know,
right? Yeah, makes sense.
You know,
yeah.
The concern is also, well, if we're not fully vaccinated, and they aren't, is this going to be another petri dish where we start the whole ball rolling again?
Because at the moment here in Canada, I think Pfizer has been approved, I believe, 12 and up.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone 12 so about grade 6, I guess, 5, 6 and up can get vaccinated. And they've been starting to actually, one of the highest numbers is in the younger generation. They're the ones wanting to get vaccinated, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it has not as of yet been approved for under 12, although they've been testing it on babies and stuff, apparently, to see.
So there's the thing as well, if you work in the public school system, like, so you've got kids that are age 5 and up.
Right.
That's,
really young, they haven't even approved for vaccinated.
So there's a whole age dynamic there that have not been inoculated.
Right, they can spread it.
And they could spread it.
And there have been ones that young. It's very rare, but there have been ones that young gotten pretty bad cases and or died. So I think the youngest I've heard might have been about 8. Actually, the baby died too.
Yes, I did hear that.
But I mean, I know it's extremely rare for kids to get sick from this, like really sick from it. But I mean, the chance is still there.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I don't know if it's really worth the risk.
So it's basically like I'm saying, people need to be more honest.
Yeah.
You know.
Honest or honest with themselves, maybe.
Exactly.
You know, but
let's be more honest with ourselves.
Right.
Our most of our teenagers are doing quite well socially. Quite well. From what we've seen.
Maybe there's problems at home. I don't know. We don't live on their house, but you know.
You can't comment on what their things are like at home. No. I can't comment.
They're seeing their friends.
But on the argument of because they're not socially interacting with their friends.
Yeah.
Let's be more above board. They are. And a lot of them are. And I think when you start banding around mental health, to use it to drive a point home,
or to drive your narrative.
You know, you're on a slippery slope. No. You know, because really that disrespects anyone that has suffered with actual mental illness. And myself and you were great supporters of mental health issues, and supporters of anyone that are going through these things legitimately. You know, let's not use this as a hammer to drive your own point of view.
Right. To get schools open for whatever reason.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not even, in this sense, it's not even the government itself wanting, because they're the ones who actually have to close. It's I don't know if it's parents' unions or whatever, or I don't even think it's the teachers' unions. It's kind of interesting where it's even coming from, but they're more or less that. I know some doctors have said that too, that you know, their mental health suffering because they're not interacting with their friends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you might want to look out your window. I see plenty of teenagers and kids interacting with each other.
And
you know, so I don't know where you get that from.
And it seems like, I don't know if you agree with this, but it seems like depending on the day, it's like they're split on the idea. Yeah. It's either fully one way, fully the other way.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of this whole thing, it changes like daily, it seems.
You know, and
that stuff.
But I think it's time that we actually be real about it.
Yeah.
Let's be real about this. We've had a year of this.
Yeah.
Over a year. And we've seen what's been going on. We've seen like the news reports of mass gatherings, young people in like clusters.
Well, look, even I don't know how young they were, but probably 20s maybe. There was this past weekend there's a raid of over 200 people in I think that park, and it was broken up by police. So far, no word on charges or tickets or anything like that. They are actually supposedly laying charges or tickets for these mass gatherings, not protests, well, sometimes protesting.
Yeah.
But parties and raves and stuff. So I don't know what's up with that, but they have, as far as I know, they haven't made any charges. But I mean, this is kind of the point. I mean, everybody's saying, "Oh, nobody's seeing anybody. Nobody's seeing anybody." Plenty of people are seeing each other. You see it all the time. You see even adults hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, walking down the street or hanging in the park, or like just parties.
Yeah.
Seem to happen every weekend. That kind of thing. So I mean, it's like, why pretend that's not happening when it is? So that's kind of really the big problem here.
And and I'm getting tired of hearing COVID exhaustion. The whole.
It's an excuse.
It's an excuse.
Everybody's exhausted.
Everyone's exhausted.
Everybody's sick of this. Everybody's sick of everything being closed.
Exactly.
Being able to do this with that. Everybody is.
Well,
most of us who've been locked down for a better part of a year are pretty sick of it.
I'm happy because you have family that's geographically close.
Yeah, we're not seeing them.
We're not seeing them though.
When we were able to, we have seen over the year because they have loosened some of the things here, so we can see some.
But it's been very sporadic.
Oh, very sporadic. Not like it normally would be. And that's a lot also because of that. They have health issues and stuff, so they don't really want the older, so they don't necessarily want to see a lot of people outside of.
And that's understandable.
So same with your family. Yeah. They don't really see them well over a year since it's all started, because again that was more like their request and stuff.
Yeah, and I respect that, and I'm hoping once I'm fully vaccinated and you're fully vaccinated, we'll be able to go and see and them be able to see our respective families a little more.
Because then they'll feel more comfortable.
Exactly. Because I actually got into a discussion about this subject on the phone,
right?
And I said, it's the idea of I've only had one dose and I don't feel comfortable enough yet to travel that distance.
It doesn't take cars. So
I don't drive.
It would be like train, like subway, bus, and it would be hours to get there. So
in a confined space with a lot of people.
And you don't know if they've been vaccinated. You don't know if they're going to wear masks. I mean, I know they're supposed to be enforcing it, but a lot of times they're not enforcing it. So you don't know. Really, do you want to risk it?
So,
some people would, but that's their choice. They want to. But a lot of people don't want to risk it.
No,
so
and
that's their choice.
And that's the stance I took. I'd rather not do that.
Right.
Until I'm fully vaccinated.
And plus, they don't want you to.
No.
So that's their choice.
And when my 90-year-old mother says, nope, stay home. Gotta respect that. So really, it's just let's be upfront. Let's be honest about what's going on. Look out, like you said, look out the dang window.
Not hard to see. It's every day.
Walk down the dang street.
Well, because I've said before, I know some fairly well. And I mean, I get it. I mean, that's what makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's good by all means. That's what makes you feel comfortable. Go ahead and do that. Although we are allowed, I mean, they are stay-at-home orders now. So, getting it to exercise, we've been doing it all year. So even last year, when it exercise, all that kind of stuff. So, but I know a lot of people are uncomfortable doing that still. I don't blame you. Like, it's okay.
And I respect,
but I mean, it's you see it, you walk around. There's people gathering. Like, we're talking about kids, but or teenagers kind of thing, and because that's the kind of a part of the line.
Yeah.
Is that their mental health suffering because they're not socializing, not because they're not in school and learning. It's because they're not socializing. They kind of are. And that's, I guess, what the problem is. I mean, you kind of get sick of hearing that.
Yeah.
They're not socializing. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Let's take off the rose-colored glasses and actually look at the situation.
Well, you kind of get sick of being sold, as they say, really good. I mean, that this is what's happening when it's not. I mean, especially when you see it with your own eyes. It's not true. That the streets aren't empty.
No.
Haven't been for a year. I mean, they were pretty quiet last year. I mean, back in March 2020, in April, and then it was pretty dead.
Yeah.
I mean, not even many cars on the road. No. So dude, it was like weird. But now it's like back to normal. I mean, there's tons of cars on the road. People are still walking. The kids are socializing. You see it. So why pretend they're not? It's happening.
Let's let's not take the red pill and go down the rabbit hole, as
Come out of the matrix.
Come out of the matrix. Ladies and gentlemen, they're getting on with their friends, and their social life is doing quite well.
Well, let's just be honest.
Exactly.
The fact that if you're worried about their academics is one thing, and I can understand.
And I respect that.
Because at least the folks will maybe less so, because they actually had a good year.
Yes, they did.
Every day, with the high schools were not in that much. Let's say they were in the same time 2 hours a day. So I mean, that I get. But how are you comparing it to college? They get to college or anything else, but that's a whole other issue, and that's actually being more honest about if that's what you're worried about. But if you're and yeah, I mean, maybe some are struggling. I'm sure there are that are still struggling. But you can't say it's all of them, or you can't say maybe even most of them, because you see it.
Yeah, let's just be honest. Let's actually address the issue that
the real issue.
The real issue
is their academics, and even that's where they aren't socializing. So there probably are some who are not, but is it all? Is it even the majority? Somehow I don't think so. Now you look outside, I don't think so.
No, and on behalf of this platform, we want to say anyone that is suffering with mental health issues, we understand, and we respect the journey and the battle you're going through.
Yeah.
To live your life.
We know it can be difficult.
We know it can be difficult,
especially now. I mean, this isn't an easy time,
no.
Not for anybody.
No.
And I know, a lot of people say, which can help some people. It doesn't help necessarily, but it can help some people to know this isn't a local thing; it's global.
Yes.
Everybody in the world is suffering with this.
Exactly.
Everybody's in the same place. I mean, there's countries right now that were doing well that are actually now starting to struggle. I mean, Japan being one of them.
Yes. They're in their fourth wave.
They're in their fourth wave, and they've just declared on state emergency. And they were saying the potential of canceling or postponing the Olympics yet again, because the numbers have gone back up, and there's very few that have been vaccinated in Japan. So I mean, it's global. I mean, and we just heard even today, yesterday, I think, with Afghanistan, they were just informed, I think, by the WHO that vaccines are supposed to be sent to them. I think this month they're not even going to get till August. So I mean, and then you look at what India is going through. So some people it helps to know that it's not just their area that's going through this, that it is global. We're in Canada, we're suffering through with it. If you're anywhere else in the world besides here, you know, there are some countries that were doing really bad, but are starting to do better, like States, for example. I mean, that can be maybe positive. That maybe because you're starting to see them, they were doing very badly for a long time. Now they're doing much better. I mean, that maybe it's a sign of hope that yeah, maybe eventually this will come to an end. Hopefully, they all do. I mean, this is the first pandemic that's ever been, and it definitely won't be the last. So, I mean, I know some people kind of take comfort in that, and others like, "Oh, crap, right, it's worldwide." So, I mean, it's really kind of how you take on
how you process it. Yeah. But
know that we get you. We understand that, you know.
And know this. I know we've kind of got on the soapbox about this one issue, but
that's a podcast for. Or opinion pieces before.
And that's what this is. This is an opinion piece. Yeah. But we want you to know that we're in this together. We support anyone trying to get through their day. But I think what we need to do more now is let's be a little more accountable. Let's be a little more honest.
Right.
Enough of the smoke screen and all that. Let's be a little more honest with what is actually going on.
Right.
And then let's move forward with that. Keep that honesty moving.
Well, see, people want some change. And like not even just with this, but a lot of things. The only way you're going to actually see any kind of change is beyond what the actual issue is.
Exactly.
And then maybe you can figure out a way with that. I mean, like we're talking with the kids, the academics. I mean, is there a way to do it safely for them? I mean, is this may not be working. I know it was an emergency kind of stopgap for them, and so, but they never really, it seems, came up with a better idea for this year if they had to go online again. So, which makes sense. Now I know they're doing this again next year. They're already preparing for them to potentially have to do another online year next year for next school, and they're offering parents that option. Whether or not they want to go do online or in person next year, but they have to choose one or the other. And supposedly
it'll be all year.
It'll be all year. They won't be able to switch. Like they're able to switch kind of back and forth if they needed to this year if they felt uncomfortable or not. But next year, I mean, it's kind of hard to make that decision when we're starting to see more vaccinations.
Yeah.
The numbers are starting to come down, all that kind of stuff. So do you really want to plan an entire year of what your kid's going to do with school this soon when they're hoping for everybody, whoever who wants one, to be vaccinated by September?
Exactly.
And they're pretty much well on the way of doing that. Yep. So, do you want to say, okay, I'm not quite comfortable because chances are it's not going to be on by September, to choose if they're going to be in school the entire year right now when that may not be necessary, kind of thing. It's kind of hard. And that's what a lot of them are complaining about too, is that they're being forced to make that decision now.
Yeah.
When and can't choose, switch back and forth.
No. Once you make it, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, because what if everything's okay by say October, November, and things are okay and it's safe? Now you're stuck at home. They can't go. They can't switch to be with their friends in school. I mean, so, but see, talking about that, those real issues, maybe they can kind of like, you might not want to do that. You might not want them to be kind of locked in like that, you know, or the whole social aspect, like you're talking about previous ones, like the stuff that's still closed, that not necessarily need to be closed at this point, instead of like this endless, we need to discuss some more, well, you have a lot of data already you already know the schools were a bigger driver, but maybe salon not so much, or a restaurant not so much. They might want to balance this out a little bit, but instead of kind of going the same way.
Well, it's like we talked about once off air. It's like enough talk, more action.
Yeah, do something about it. There's so much that they talk endlessly about that there's never any action on. I mean, we should talk about that in other, like we're talking even the housing costs or whatever. I mean, there's so much they're constant, even with this pandemic, that they talk and talk and talk. Oh, we should do this. We should never have. Nothing changes. You know?
It's like a
never has.
If you've seen the movie Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
You're repeating the same thing over and over with this, with housing, with
so much.
So much. Enough of the talking, enough of the hemming and hawing.
Right.
You have all the information in front of you.
Well, how many more committees do you have? You know, even with this, like, so
yeah.
Like, oh, we'll have a meeting and we'll talk to this doctor. Well, you've talked to AA and the board, actually wrote, you guys might have heard, wrote a letter to several experts and stuff like that, asking if school would be safe to open. Well, a lot of them said yes, including Dr. Williams, who's the chief medical officer, who's retiring at McMahon this month. Said yes, and then there's others that said no. So, I mean, I don't know if it's 50-50, there wasn't a consensus. So, and plus, and the one thing Ford said is, the one thing that they could tell him is what the numbers are. If you open this back up, what are the possible? How many would get affected? 10%, 11%, less than that, what kind of thing?
Exactly.
That's why he made this closed. You know, but I mean, how many times did they have to talk the same thing? I mean, even to make that decision, they had numerous meetings, talking to numerous different experts. I get it's good to get that opinion, but they're saying the same thing at the same year.
Well, and you know, like we talked about off air when this first came out, that he sent out this questionnaire. He's covering his own backside.
Sure, yeah. There's an election coming up next year.
And
if you didn't guess.
And he made quick decisions before, and it blew back on him.
Yes, he's as a suggestion.
So he's like, okay, this time I'm going to talk.
I'm going to try softer.
And I'm going to talk to. I'm going to send out to everybody.
Yeah.
Teachers unions, medical professionals. Yeah. You know.
I mean, that's a good thing.
Yes.
But you put them out for it. But yes, it's a good thing to know like what they can. I mean, it's a good thing to have that and then analyze it and weigh it against what you think is right and that kind of thing. Against just opinion, but actual data.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, is it the right decision? It might be, because our numbers are still pretty high here.
Yes.
Maybe, like, I know a lot of places didn't want a target. They wanted more of a targeted approach, like they had been doing. It's not all of Ontario is in that bad shape. There's some that have no cases at all.
Yes.
Some very few. But I think what they're trying to do, because they did the regional approach before, and then with shopping and some
blew up.
Shopping, so it like increased their numbers of that region. So they said with schools, I mean, you're not going to region hop to go to school, so they could open schools elsewhere. But I think they just kind of figure, and a lot of parents actually said this too. What's the point of being open for 3 weeks?
Doesn't make sense.
Really? Like, that's it? 3 weeks? That's pretty much all that's left of the school year. So here, so really, what's the point of opening them back up now? Kind of thing. Maybe it's May. Yeah. 2 months, but it's like 3 weeks. So really, what's the point? So at the moment.
So
I guess it's a matter of like, why did we pick, like with anything in house, maybe we'll talk about that, but another time. it's like endless committees or endless studies. And it's just by now you have no idea what you need to do after all this time. You can't come up with some kind of a plan.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
I think that's probably going to be a discussion for another episode for sure.
It kind of goes along with what we think. It's.
I think we need.
We'll talk about that. That's your strong opinion on that too.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do.
But.
So, I was gonna say something. Sorry, guys. Brain just blanked out on me. So, what else shall we talk about here? Like, we're being very open about our opinions on some topics. Anything you want to talk about?
Well, we're mostly talking gatherings.
Yeah.
But does it really bother you? Like these gatherings. I mean, I know a lot of people are perfectly fine with them. I mean, even the Parkdale gathering, I think it's Parkdale, it's in a park anyway. Park something. But in Toronto, the rave, and that's happening all the time. I know some people are very angry about that. They think tons of tickets should be given out.
Of course.
Which technically is law right now. It's bylaw, all that kind of stuff. And then other people just read Twitter and stuff. Good for you, you're heroes. We need to open things back up. All because it's very divided about what people think about even these kind of parties and stuff people are having. I'm going to talk about the protests. That's another thing, but parties, gatherings,
yes.
And stuff like.
Where do you stand on this issue?
Mm-hmm.
Are you for or are you against? Personally myself,
yeah.
I'm against it. Now is not the time.
No.
Now is definitely not the time to be doing this. And by doing this, you're flaunting the law.
Right.
And you're thumbing the nose at every other person that is trying to do what's needed to get this under control. Like we saw in the news, people firing fireworks back and forth at each other on Victoria Day. That's
actually dangerous. Somebody actually sent to the hospital because they got hit by fireworks.
This staggers my mind. Like this created so much chaos. There were people banging on people's windows,
on the windows, shooting fireworks out their houses.
Like,
really? What do you need to do that for?
What the heck?
I mean, it's bad enough. It's thousands of people. I mean, it's bad enough that you're doing that, and then now you're acting like a maniac by banging on. I mean, lots of things in that area, so they're banging on their windows, their doors, shooting fireworks out their house, shooting fireworks at each other. I mean, what? Like, you can't just have fun about acting like that.
Well, that's it. Come on.
There.
And I have no sympathy for people like that. I have no tolerance for them.
No.
And
you're not back. I mean, there might be teens there, but I mean, a lot of them are getting older,
20s. I am more concerned for people like our first responders and
look, there were police that were home.
Yeah,
they're outnumbered, so they didn't do anything.
For sure,
basically just watched. Really, what are they going to do? They were threatening themselves. The police were.
And that kind of leads back to a previous episode where people feel that they can carry on a certain way, talk a certain way, and act a certain way. Sorry, this is not the friggin' Hunger Games where you can carry on how you...
Or the Purge. You can act like you want,
No. This is real life.
There are laws.
And there's real life consequences to your actions. And there should be. I think...
Or also be anarchy. Anybody that any way they want. I mean, they drive however you want.
Yeah.
Run on sidewalks or whatever. I mean, that's the point of having rules and laws.
Exactly.
Is to, so that things like that don't happen. And to protect everybody from reckless drivers.
Well,
like people shooting fireworks at your house to, that kind of banging on your windows. I mean, really, I mean, you get it that it's a long weekend. You want to have fun, but you don't have to be a jerk about having fun either.
And the amount of garbage and trash left on the beach.
It's just completely litter. You can't pick up after yourself.
Well, see that?
Is it that difficult to pick up after yourself?
It frustrates me on so many levels with that.
Yeah.
Because
it's too hard to throw your garbage in.
Because of the profession I'm in.
Yeah.
I have a great respect for the site that I'm at.
Right. Yeah.
And
well, it's up to.
And it's up to me to keep that site, and my coworker to keep that site presentable
and safe.
And safe. To see, like, to watch the news and not realize that it's like local news. You almost think it's like watching CNN from like Eastern European bloc countries, fighting each other, because
it's something, yeah.
It's ridiculous. People need to grow up.
But that's the problem.
People need to grow up, smarten up, and you know what? Shut up.
Yeah.
Quit talking stupidness. Quit thinking just because it's on the internet,
it's true.
It's true.
That's
that's another episode, and believe me, it'll be that is definitely going to come up. Realize that you actually have a functioning brain, and you're the cause of all this chaos.
Well, that's what a lot of like I think it's today, Tory even said, John Tory the mayor here, even said that and even the police chiefs and that they've all said this. You're the reason this lockdown is going on. I mean, if you'd actually maybe followed the rules and did join together groups of 100 or 1,000 people,
exactly,
for a party or even protest. I get it. You have the right to protest or rally or whatever here in Canada. Same with the States, all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, now you've become a super spreader event. Even if one or two people have it, well, you're going to spread it, and I mean, that's, I guess, the problem here,
Yeah.
Now it's becoming dangerous kind of thing. And then, I mean, yes, if you want to have fun, why do you shoot fireworks at people's houses or at each other, and even if the police are there, why isn't they attacking the police?
Yeah.
I mean, what, like, how are you raised kind of thing? That's what you want to think. I mean, we know some like the whole, you might have seen it, parents go, don't come here please to the kids, come here please. It's like a question. But that's not how we were raised.
No.
We were raised, you actually obeyed your parents and those in authority, but it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. It's a lot, not all of them, but a lot of the younger generation don't seem to respect authority. You can walk down the sidewalk, they want to for you.
Exactly.
They'll stay 4 or 5 abreast and want you to walk on the road or something. Now they're shooting fireworks at your house. I mean, really? And yes, we get it. You want to have fun or whatever, but you need to gather in groups of 1,000 in a pandemic.
And
well, no wonder everything's still shut down.
People are becoming more hyper aggressive.
Oh, very much so. Even just look at Facebook, and I'll tell you that you can't even have an opinion that differs from somebody else. You won't get attacked for it. You be called, for example, like a lot of people who are conservative or Republican leaning will call those snowflakes and or whatever else. Like, really, that's mature. And and the liberals do the same to the conservatives or the Republicans. Will call them names too. I mean, who cares what political affiliation you are? I mean, let's grow up and just have a normal conversation. But then, like everything being liberal or Democrat or conservative.
Exactly.
Everything's not political based.
No. Politics has no place in discussion.
Unless you specifically want to talk.
Unless you're
politics,
actually
then-
talking politics. But if we're trying to have a conversation about our difference in opinion,
You should be able to have
Yeah.
difference of opinion without being attacked for it. I mean, it's very annoying.
of course,
I mean, it's fine. And we've actually had a lot of actually good discussions with people who have different opinions than us. We
oh,
have a lot of people who have different opinions than us, even on our friends, but we're still friends with them.
oh yeah,
They respect what we think and we respect what they
Yeah.
think. I mean, we don't necessarily all agree about everything, but that's
No.
okay. I mean, we shouldn't think what we think. And that's what basically makes the world a better place is when you're not necessarily agreeing on everything.
Like-
because you just won't. I mean, that's okay.
We don't.
And that's all right to not agree on everything.
like we've said on a number of different occasions when we've had discussions.
Oh, yeah.
We-
We don't always agree.
We don't always agree, but we are at least willing to hear each other's stance and
Right.
point of view.
I don't know if you do, but I've got quite a few people who are sort of leaning or probably leaning on my Facebook or family, friends stuff, and who don't like Trudeau or Biden or whoever. And that's okay. That's what they choose.
Yeah.
And they know. I mean, we're not really liberal, but that kind of thing. They're kind of more central.
Yeah.
But there's some things we think about on any of the parties that have
Yeah.
their good points and their bad points.
Exactly.
And they accept that kind of thing, accept what they say.
Mhm.
But we had really good conversations for people who have different opinions, even with this pandemic. Like we know a lot of people are anti-vax. Like they're no way, not going to get it.
Not
For different
happening.
reasons. Some people just don't trust the vaccine.
Yeah.
I don't actually blame them. I mean, it's not a new vaccine. It's
No.
a new vaccine, and so I get it.
Yeah.
To whatever else. But we've had good conversation now. People can actually do that instead of you snowflake, you whatever. That I mean, well now nobody's listening to.
That's it. That's it.
Because now it's just, okay, you're a freak, and I'm not going to listen to you because all you're going to do is name call, and you're not going to listen to me anyway. So
And
it's that. Nothing changed with that.
we've reached that point. No one's listening.
And
to
it
each
goes
other.
swarm quick, same. Become very aggressive. With all this.
Exactly.
And it's kind of sad because how can you really, I mean, it divides you even more. I mean, how can you really come together and really hear?
Yeah.
Because who knows, both sides or three sides, whatever, might have good ideas, that could come into play with the protests, with the parties, or with even the pandemic, or, who knows? Because people are constantly attacking each other because, you don't agree with me.
No
So
one
you
wants
must
to
be
listen.
dumb, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to you now. Nothing really changes.
Exactly. But I'm glad at least we have a platform that we can discuss openly.
Yeah.
And we invite discussion.
Yeah.
That's one thing we've said when we started this. We want to give a positive platform for people on all aspects of
Right.
this.
Like we don't we've done this before, Pat lives and stuff. And had good conversations
Yeah.
with people. But I mean, if people come in and then they start name calling or saying, "Oh, you're dumb," or "Do your research," or whatever, well, that's just rhetoric.
Yeah.
And so we don't tolerate that.
No.
But if you're to actually have a good conversation, whether you agree with us or not, that's different. It's good to have a good conversation.
Yeah.
And even if you don't agree with us, kind of thing, but let's not go that, you this or you that.
Yeah.
Or
There's no need
do
for
your
that.
research. I mean, really.
And what we've
You
had.
gotta, if you're see, this is the thing. If you're the one saying something, you're
It's
the one who
up to
has
you
to
to back it up.
up. It's not up to me
Yeah.
to back up what you tell me. Just like if I say this is what I've heard, I'll tell you where I've seen it.
Yes.
That kind of thing. You will.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of get sick of. I've seen it on Facebook a lot. Do
Mhm.
your research.
Mhm.
Well, you're the one saying it when you tell me where you heard it from.
Yeah.
Kind of instead of telling me to do the research.
Well,
Because I have done research, so
Even
part of
out,
my job.
even outside of this platform, we've had discussions with people,
Oh,
and
yeah, I'm seeing sense.
And one individual I had a discussion with, I said, listen, if you can show me legitimate sources,
right, yes,
show me
we
where,
have said that.
show me legitimate sources. Let me look at it, and if
Right.
it resonates with me,
Right.
and it makes sense,
Yeah.
then by all means, we'll sit down and we'll continue the
Right. Of
discussion.
course.
But if you're not going to produce that, so I question the validity in the information
Well, especially if you're sending it from sites that are pretty much known to be the ones that don't. I mean, we're talking either side, any side, that don't are pretty much known not to give really accurate information.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I mean, I personally like information from multiple sites,
of course,
so not just
of course.
this one specific site. Here, this person, that person, and especially people who've been debunked multiple times too. I don't give me that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if any kind of thing, like now they're saying, I know they're researching again. I know way back when this first all came about.
Yes.
They're talking about how it came from the lab, and a lot of people thought it was created in Wuhan lab, and there were a lot of people like, now, whatever kind of thing. And we did quite a few of our friends said, see, they created it in the lab. Well, I've heard they were to escape from the lab, which things like this has happened before,
Yeah.
And we never actually discounted that. Like, we never said, no, it's completely natural. It completely came from the market, which is what China said.
We more said that.
But we said we'd want to see the proof of it.
Yeah.
Like, we never said it's completely from the market or escape from the lab. We don't know. We never saw any of the actual solid info either way.
That's it.
So that's why we're kind of glad they are trying to research this to see definitively where this actually came from. So, I mean, that's how we kind of approach things.
Yes.
Is we're not going to say, yeah, it definitely came from the market. You're crazy that it escaped from the lab, because we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Never heard it really.
And it invalidates you as a presenter on your platform if you're going to take a certain stance and you can't substantiate that.
Right. Yeah.
I'd rather say, okay, this is what we heard.
Right.
Then we did
our sites we heard from.
And list the sources where we heard that from.
Right.
Because then we're saying, okay, here's the information we found.
Right.
Now
I know a lot of people don't actually trust the media. I know some do, a lot don't. Granted, the media does tell you not the whole story. That's all of them. Some of them are more fantastic than others. You are. But that's why I like what I do. Yes, I'll read or watch some of our lives, and then I will actually do multiply kind of thing. So to see, I mean, when you start to see the same kind of story, it hasn't changed much. It's probably true. And plus, like, we take a lot of our research, not even just from the media or the mainstream media. Like, so it's from doctors, experts, because there's actually a lot of publications there too that are actually from researchers.
Yeah.
And if you
and if you want to know, and if you're willing to put in the work and the effort to find it, the information's there.
It's there.
And I think that's what creates a positive conversation when you can present positive information and say, okay, this is from legitimate sourcing that we tracked down.
Right.
Let me see what you have to bring to the table.
Right. That's why it's good not to just go from one or two sources.
Yeah.
That are either politically leaning either way, kind of thing. I mean, I know there are a few that are specifically are very left leaning, very right leaning.
That is true.
And you can take some of their info, but it's okay. I'll look at this, but I'm going to look at other sources too that may not be so left or right leaning, and see what they have to say. And if you can actually get it also from legit sites from, for example, Lancet, which is a medical journal, or anything like that,
John
then you
Hopkins.
get a little bit more of a broader view of what's going on. I mean, for anything really.
I heard this saying once. Can't remember exactly where I heard it, but it kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. You got to take all this information that good, bad, and different, and put it into the separator.
Right.
And what is actually legitimate will come to the surface.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to do more of.
Yeah.
Not
just dismiss because you think it comes from a site that's not legitimate, or because you distrust media because you've been told to distrust media. I mean, this is the thing. People are saying, oh, you're told this, you're told that, so don't trust it because we're telling you this. Well, you're also being told not to trust media.
Yeah.
So it's not something you're naturally born to. I mean, you don't just naturally born distrusting media or distrusting politicians or whatever it is. I mean, you're learning that.
Yeah, that's a learned behavior, exactly.
Because maybe it makes sense to you or whatever. So I mean, like, it's actually okay. It's like to get info maybe from a media source you don't necessarily like or trust, especially if you're seeing it from multiple sites.
Yeah.
Around. Like, that's why, I mean, don't just necessarily stick to particular media outlet, and that includes Fox News, which is very right leaning, to CNN, just more left leaning. I mean, I mean, that's why it's good actually to look at everything.
Exactly.
Pick and see really what's legitimate, what's not. I mean, And then you can have a good discussion instead of dismissing whoever who may not agree with it. Right.
I totally agree, and it's something that we are unanimous in our viewpoint. And let's hear from you guys. Like, what's your stance? Like, are you willing to take the time to really search out information if something resonates with you, or are you one of those people? Well, once I saw it, I believe.
Right.
Where do you fall? And if you fall on that side of, well, this is what I've been told, this is what I believe.
Right.
Why do you think?
It's actually good to challenge that.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it that anybody said don't trust you? It's like, where did that come from? I mean, I know, granted, they don't always tell you everything. That's why it's good to try, to look up multiple sources of information, including outside the media. I mean, to find the truth, because, even with the whole numbers and stuff like that, I mean, what they don't tell you, I mean, they mostly talk about the deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one of the arguments for wanting to think so, but it's a 99% survival rate. It's actually not quite that high. I forget what it is. It's in the 90 range. It's not 99%. It's less than that. It actually has about 7. Last I checked, about a 7 from John Hopkins. 7 some odd percent mortality rate. That's still pretty high.
Yes.
We're talking millions of people. But it's not even just that. It's not even just the deaths that they're worried about. It's also the long-term effects of this. I mean, which they're now studying, and they're finding some concerning evidence that these long-term effects may actually be lifetime or permanent kind of thing. You're talking pretty serious issues like vascular problems, heart problems, brain problems, brain damage, lung damage. Some people had their limbs amputated because of blood clots, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you're talking, and the media is not talking about that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that's why a lot of people are kind of thinking, well, it's a 99% survival rate. It's just a bad flu. What care? Can we get over it? We're not 80. We're not immunocompromised. But there's so many long haulers, are calling them, or people who had mild cases that have had some serious health issues from this.
Yes.
So, which maybe should be talked about more,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps, and maybe or maybe talk to some more of these people, because we've seen quite a few of these people, and even on Facebook and stuff like that are still on oxygen months later, that still have trouble walking.
Yeah, exactly.
All that kind of stuff. So, I mean, these are also part of COVID that they're really not talking about as much.
And I do commend, like, our news media at one point was actually taking you
into the ER, yes.
Into the ERs.
A lot of people said, take us into the ICU. Well, they did, actually.
And to actually see the state of emergency in
they were pretty cool.
In the ERs.
Yeah. I know that people saying that I'm not deep. No, actually, they're not.
No. And you know what?
And we actually know some nurses who work in
my family, I've got a couple, you know, and I think what society needs is a good, like, a slap across the face, a dose of reality, and like, oh, you're saying this, this, and this. Well, ta-da.
Well, I think, like, say with anything, the media, or it's not just the media, it's politicians and stuff too. They will only give you part of the truth because maybe they don't want to listen to panic. Look what happened a year ago when this first came out. There's no toilet paper anywhere. The shelves are bare. Panicked. So, I mean, I think that's why you're kind of spoon-fed information as much as you need to know, or as much as this, or much as that. But, because people will take no toilet paper, or they'll take, like, the shelves are literally bare for months here. I mean, like, it's ridiculous, And so, I mean, I think that's why they'll only tell you bits and pieces. That's why maybe they just focus on the deaths. It's extreme. It's an extreme case.
Yeah.
How many dead? I mean, it's pretty bad, really. To think about it, it's bad numbers. It may not seem like, because people say, well, there's 8 billion people in the world. And there's like some odd million dead from this. Well, yeah, it's a lot. It's still a lot, and it's not done yet. So, but see, that's not the whole story with this, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe they've heard, well, here's the thing: flu doesn't give you blood clots, flu doesn't give you brain damage, flu doesn't give you lung damage,
lost limbs.
Flu's not going to necessarily necessitate your leg being cut off. So, I mean, they're not really. They talk about that a little bit, but that they're not focusing on that. And maybe if they did, people would actually take it more seriously, not have 500 people at a rave or a protest of 1,000 because you want a haircut. I mean, that kind of thing. So,
exactly.
And this isn't just from the media. Like, so those who are soft, because the media don't believe the media is fear mongering. Well, we're not afraid of it. I mean, chances are we'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just common sense. That seems to be missing a lot. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want the flu either. So, it can kill you too.
Yeah.
But, by the way, like, those people who like to say, where's the flu? Where's the flu? It vanished this year. No, actually it didn't. It's still around. You actually can look it up. There was quite not as many cases this week, but they do track the flu. The news never showed the flu numbers. Never did. Not here. Never heard of it in my whole life. Never heard of it. So those people saying you never hear of the flu. When did you ever? The news never covered the flu. And it's maybe Spanish flu, but that was a pandemic.
And that was before our time.
No, way before our time. Yes. But, they never did. To be honest, you ever hear about the news talk about the flu? No, you didn't. You never did. Except maybe the flu shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually looked it up. Somebody said, where's the flu? I actually looked up, and it's about 30,000 cases when I checked flu. I mean, but doesn't it make sense that the same things you're doing to prevent COVID would also prevent the flu?
Exactly.
Might be, but the thing is, the information's out there. You just have to look for it.
Exactly. This is kind of like
and not from sites of gonna lie to you.
This is, and this has kind of been our marching song. Like, you know, I'm sorry, I'm banding around, who cliches and other such, but X-Files said it best. The truth is out there, and it's not wrong. You just have to be willing to look
and actually trust it.
Yeah.
Like we said, I mean, if if you think, say you're either side
Mhm.
of the, you think the other side is lying or this one, they're not the information. What makes it think your side's giving you the information too? So,
Well, that's it.
None of them do. Let's face it, none. So, no politician does, no matter what side they're on or anything. And so that's why it's important to do. I like to be so fond of saying your own research. And not just from the side you think you trust,
Exactly.
but from any side.
That's it.
Because the truth is somewhere in the middle there.
Exactly.
But that's kind of
Well, guys, I want to thank you very much for allowing us to have our soapbox moment.
That's what this is all about.
That's what this is all about.
Well, that's how good conversation.
And we want to invite you guys out there in the YouTube universe to come and join the conversation with us. Thank you for taking part in this with me.
Well, thank you for having me.
Anytime. And thank you guys for tuning in. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. It will, it's over there.
Or down here if you're on the phone.
And once you hit that notification bell, it will tell you every time we go live. And we welcome you guys into the conversation. Let's sit down, let's talk, and maybe in our own little way, we can solve some stuff together.
It can't hurt.
Can't hurt. So, guys, we'll see you next Sunday. Be safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.